to join us to listen about the Iowa National Guard. We are excited to have our guest speakers with us today. And if you could maybe wave when I say your name, we have First Lieutenant and Education Services Officer Brandon Donahoe, Lieutenant Colonel Randall Sanford, and Sergeant First Class James Johnson here to join us today to help us learn more about this topic. First are a few housekeeping items. This is a Zoom meeting, so participants can unmute at any point. We can also use the chat, but I think we'll have a small enough group today that you can just feel free to unmute with any questions. This session is being recorded, and you can ask your school counselor for the recording link beginning next week. And so let's go ahead and just begin our session. So welcome and to our guests, and the floor is yours.
Thanks. Hey, my name's Randall Sanford, like she said, and I have a couple other guests with us because I didn't want to have to talk the entire time about the Iowa National Guard, and I'm not the subject matter expert, unfortunately, in everything. But I did want to give a quick rundown of kind of who we have on this panel with us to discuss everything that the Iowa National Guard has to offer. So my name's Randall Sanford. I grew up in a small town in Northeast Iowa. I have been part of the Iowa National Guard for over 20 years. And right now, I currently run the day-to-day operations for half of the state of Iowa in the National Guard. And I started as an enlisted person, and now I'm an officer. And so I've had a fortunate opportunity to go to a whole bunch of schools and do everything that I really want to do in the Iowa National Guard. And so I'm glad to be here today. I love talking about the benefits and why people should join the Iowa National Guard. To my left, I have Dan Wagner. First Sergeant Wagner, I'll let him introduce himself.
Thanks, sir. So I'm First Sergeant Wagner. I'm born and raised and still live in Owens, Iowa, small town, Northeast Iowa. Been in the Iowa Guard for about 20 years now, just shy of 20 years. 17 of those years I've been with the Recruiting Retention Battalion, working with the youth of our battalion. Obviously, I'm here today for the same reasons. It's very passionate about our organization and the benefits and what this can do for a young man, young woman. Thank you.
James?
I'm James Johnson. I've been in the service for a little over 20 years, started in the Marines and switched here to the National Guard. I recruit here at UNI for ROTC. I own my own business on the part-time side, have a wonderful family that's growing and getting older. And I just joined, the recruiting retention just to help people in their careers. So just to be that mentor and give that extra added advice. So I'll pass it on to Des Moines.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Brandon Donahoe, recently hired as the State Education Services Officer. I've been, I grew up in Illinois, but ever since I became an adult, I made the jump to Iowa and haven't looked back. So I've been in Iowa for the better part of my adult life. I've been in the Iowa Guard for 19 years. And much like Colonel Sanford, I started as enlisted. I utilized the education benefits and became an officer as a result at the end of that education train. So I'm pretty passionate not only about the Guard, but using your benefits and getting a degree while serving your country and community. With that, I'm going to pass it to Staff Sergeant Brooks.
Thank you, sir. I'm Staff Sergeant Zachary Brooks. I'm from the Des Moines area. I graduated from Lincoln High School, joined the National Guard when I was a senior. I just hit 9 years of service this month, which is pretty cool. Haven't done anything for 9 years. And I'm excited to sit with this group of individuals and inform you guys on the opportunities of the Iowa National Guard today.
Great. So, hey, I asked these guys to come as if you did the math like I just did in my head, almost 90 years of service. So we have a lot of experience at the table so we can really give the best explanations we can of the Iowa National Guard. So what I wanted to open with is what is the Iowa National Guard? And the analogy that I really like to use is I'm a little bit older, so I had refrigerators and we had magnets and we had phones that connected to the wall when I grew up. And there was always an emergency magnet on the telephone, in case you were poisoned or you needed to call the cops or you needed to call the fire service. And so I like to use that analogy of the governor of the state of Iowa, Kim Reynolds, has a magnet on her refrigerator. And the first person that she should call in case there's an emergency is the Iowa National Guard. It says Iowa National Guard first and foremost in big letters, and she knows to call us. So our #1 primary mission is working for the state of Iowa. We are her response force, and the last 2 years has proven that time and time again with the derecho in Cedar Rapids last year, 2 years ago, and then COVID response, floods, anything like that, any emergencies in the state. If the governor of the state of Iowa has a problem, she calls Iowa National Guard, and we send troops out to respond and help in any way that we can in our local communities. That is our #1 mission, and that is really why we exist. Our #2 mission, there is a federal mission. Sometimes we deploy to Afghanistan, Kosovo, Iraq, the Horn of Africa, all over the world. We have soldiers sometimes, but our primary mission is we live here, we work here, we serve here for the state of Iowa. And so that is kind of who the National Guard is or what we have to offer. Brooks, you got anything on that?
Hey, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Well, real quick, you nailed it. The National Guard, from super humble beginnings to one of the most dynamic military forces in the whole world right now. We started in 1636. So the National Guard is the oldest U.S. military component. And so think about that. Since 1636, that's almost 385 years old. That's an amazing legacy of building leaders, impacting our community. If you look, I don't know if you can see it very well, but on my patch here, this is our mascot. This is the Minuteman. And so the Minuteman is representative of the men, the women, the fathers, the sons, the individuals during the time of the Revolutionary War that took up arms, just a ragtag group of farmers and barbers and doctors and everyday average citizens, citizen soldiers, our origins. They took up arms against the greatest empire ever assembled, the British, right? The British Empire, and we won. We took our independence from them. And fast forward, since then, the National Guard has been involved in every single major campaign, conflict in the U.S.'s history, all the way up to the modern day events happening in 2021 and onward. So a really amazing legacy with the National Guard and what we've done those 385 years of service.
Yep. And I know we all love that because we're all from Iowa, and we grew up here, and we like, for some people, this uniform hangs in the closet 28 days out of the month, and they put it on one weekend a month, and they show up at drill, and they do their training, and they're prepared for when the governor calls and she needs something, we are ready to respond. So with that, the next thing I really wanted to move on to is who joins the Iowa National Guard. And I think First Sergeant Wagner is the best guy to really start that off for us.
So thanks, sir. So who joins the National Guard? It's kind of a very broad question there. So people join the National Guard from all different walks in life. There's not necessarily one specific reason, one specific type of person that joins. And that's the great thing about our organization is it is all walks of life bringing their strengths to our organization to make everybody better. So some of the common people that join the National Guard are people looking to better their lives in many different ways. People who are already motivated, determined to be successful in life, and so they look at us as an opportunity or a stepping stone to help enhance that. So as far as who joins, it's more people who really appreciate service and helping others. Ones that find the vested interest and get excitement out of giving back to others. That's who joins the Iowa National Guard. People who are looking for ways to pay for college also come, as they have a track, they want to be successful, they want to have a certain job, but they also want to be able to get the best opportunities for themselves when they're 22, not being having $50,000, $60,000 plus in debt. Those people come to us. People who are looking for direction, who really don't know what to do in life, come to the National Guard to find that way. At least that was me. I didn't really know what I wanted to do out of high school. Still, when I grow up, I still don't know what I want to do, but I had all these different areas of interest and couldn't narrow it down to one. So the National Guard helped me narrow that down to an area that I could be highly successful in and gave me a lot of different skills. People who appreciate leadership and identify themselves as leaders come to our organization because this is one of those areas that as long as you show up, work hard, you're going to probably get an opportunity to lead and challenge your leadership skills. So there's, like I said, many reasons why people come to the Iowa National Guard. So
James, who are some people that like you've enlisted or like types of college or high school students, for example?
The biggest ones with college are the ones that have gained that idea of I need to make my resume different from other people. So all that time in college, how can I set myself apart? So I've had plenty of applicants that have come to me that lack in confidence or that leadership skills, and then that's what we can instill in them and teach them and help them. So if they've already got it, we can make it better. If they don't have it, we'll give them some to start. So those are the biggest things with the self-confidence and the leadership that I can see. So and like I said, just that resume builder of setting themselves apart. So that's what we're looking for.
And Brooks, being in Des Moines, like a bigger metropolitan area, like what variety of kids have you put in the Iowa National Guard?
Yes, sir. So full spectrum, the young men and women, I've had the opportunity to connect to the National Guard, whether they're the valedictorian of their graduating class and they already have a plan to go to Iowa State University or the University of Northern Iowa. They have this full paid for scholarship and everything's figured out for them. I've had those people still join the Iowa National Guard because they saw the value in it. They saw that it would enhance their plan, that it would give them additional resources, that it would make them more competitive in the private sector. And so whether you're at the top of your class or you are someone who has no idea what life looks like for them after high school, the National Guard is going to be able to help either enhance your plan or give you a new path towards being whatever it is you want to do. Whether you want to twist wrenches as a mechanic, or you want to go into the medical field, or you want to be in law enforcement, all of the opportunities that we have in our organization are just going to help you that much more on your path. We're going to get you there a little bit faster, with a little bit more money in your pocket, with no debt to your name. And overall, those are positive things that the Guard is going to give you while being a flexible organization, serving part-time.
Good. And so to roll that up and what Wagner kind of said, and what I learned from Professor Sage, our friend, is there's three types of people who join the National Guard. And I say this a lot. Some people join for the adventure. They want to jump out of airplanes. They want to blow stuff up. They want to just adventure seekers. And then you have the second kind. They want the benefits, right? They want that free college. They want the health insurance. They want the benefits that the military service has to offer. And number three is service to country, service to their state of Iowa. And you can be any one or all three of those. And those could vary throughout your career. But I think the people that stay, the people like us that have 20 years and we're still here, we love the service to our country. We love the service to our state. We love helping others. And so the service is the big one that you'll stay. And we don't care why you join. Maybe you do want that adventure. We can provide that. Maybe you just want those benefits and you do 4 or 6 years and you're out. Great. Appreciate your service. Thank you for what you've done. But when you get here, sometimes you have those other things, that service and helping others and helping the next generation. And that's why you stay. And we try to take the best care we can of our soldiers and families. And so that's why people stay for the long run, for a run like us. So I think that's good on that piece. Next step.
Yeah, so not everybody, it's the stereotypical, hey, if they're struggling at school or with discipline and stuff like that, the military is good for them. The military is good for them, and we can help with that. But we're a 1 weekend a month organization. So those 28, 29 days out of the month, they can fall right back into those scenarios. So whether it's bad home life, family, friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, those kind of things. So we have very strict regulations of how and who can join the National Guard. So we go through a pretty in-depth background check. And the big three that we need is that you're going to be mentally qualified. So you have to pass our written test, just like the ACT. We can correlate those 2 tests to see how you do. So we need you to be able to pass the math. We need paragraph comprehensive, vocab, and turning wrenches and putting shapes together in clerical. So the test is pretty in-depth, but that's what qualifies you for different jobs that you could be looking into. Morally, you have to be morally correct, or there's waivers for certain things. That we've all made mistakes in life, but if there's something that's not too bad, speeding tickets are okay. But going and making other mistakes or going places where you're not supposed to at the wrong times, that can be an issue, and we can't get you into the National Guard. And then medically, we want everybody to join, and it's not our decision as recruiters or right here on this level of the National Guard is to say whether you can join or not because of your medical background. That's what the doctors go through to make sure that you can get through basic training and all the training that you can do for us and not get hurt or re-hurt. So we go through a very extensive background check of 164 different medical questions. So, but that we do that all face to face, and we don't hide things. We get things all out in the open to make sure something never comes back to get you injured while you're at basic training or AIT, your job training. So.
And so for the requirements to join, I think what I learned when I was in recruiting is don't disqualify yourself, right? If you're not sure if you can join, come and talk to the recruiter, come and talk to the person who will put you in, and you can ask those questions, and they're not going to turn you into the police. You're not going to get any trouble. As long as you're honest with the recruiter, they'll say, oh, hey, no, we can't do that, right? Or, oh, hey, maybe I can get a waiver for you. But don't just say, hell, I'm not qualified.
Right. And to go along with that too, is just because Billy had this scenario doesn't mean that we can't put you into the National Guard with a waiver or something. So the hearsay stuff like that, things have changed. They used to do flat feet. They used to do, asthma medication, stuff like that. So there's different scenarios for every person out there. So.
And those requirements are constantly changing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So it's always worth coming and asking the question. If you're not sure, ask a recruiter, and they will more than happily tell you. So Sergeant Brooks, what's the process, I guess, from once they enlist, or if they do decide to sign up, what does that process look like?
All righty, sir. Well, hey, I think Sergeant Johnson did a great job of giving kind of the big picture, what it takes to be part of the National Guard. Step one is, like you said, sitting down, reaching out to your local National Guard recruiter, and we should be in your community. You should hopefully already know who that individual is. Just in case you don't, make sure you're on the lookout for someone. It's going to say U.S. Army, but we're still the National Guard. So talk to your guidance counselor, talk to your school representative, military representative. Let them know you're looking for the National Guard guidance counselor or the National Guard recruiter. And so step one is sitting down and learning not only what the National Guard's about, but also how your goals can fit into the Guard and how we can put them together. And then, like Colonel Sanford said, like Sergeant Johnson said, letting your recruiter know if you have any medical issues or history of any medical on your background or law violations, be very transparent with your recruiter. At that point, and like Colonel Sanford said, don't disqualify yourself. We have a lot of opportunity, and recruiters are expected to be subject matter experts. So don't feel like if you're hearing us talking about the regulations and the disqualifiers, don't worry about it. Talk to your recruiter. They'll square you. They'll set you straight. Then you have to go through a series of steps. The very first thing is you have to take the Asvab, and the Asvab is a military test that basically pre-qualifies you for jobs. The higher you score on that test, the more job opportunities you'll have available to you. Then you have to go through a medical exam. They're going to check you from your nose to your toes and everything in between. And so they're going to make sure that you're mentally, physically, and emotionally ready to serve in the military. We're going to do a background check, both at the state level and at the federal level. And so you get a really cool security clearance sometimes, and you don't have to pay a dime for it. And that's just another thing that enhances that resume. And then finally, as long as you find a job that you're excited about, we can find a training date that works for you, and everything goes smoothly, then you can raise your right hand and you're part of our family. And so that's the process. First and foremost, it starts with connecting with a recruiter, taking that test, doing the medical exam, getting through your background check, locking in whatever your contract looks like, and then you get to raise your hand to be part of our family.
Awesome. Thanks, Brooks. First Sergeant James, you got anything to add to that? Okay. So the next step we really want to talk about is what to expect once you join. So you sign the dotted line. You're part of the Iowa National Guard. What comes after that?
You want me to first?
I'll take some on that. So when you join the National Guard, one of the first things that you can do is your contractual obligation starts immediately. Where some of the other branches, it doesn't start until the day you go to basic training. With us, your time starts right away. So we take our young men and young women who are who are about to go to basic training, and we start drilling 1 week in a month, collecting in a paycheck for them, and we start educating them on how to best prepare for basic combat training. So they come in, they go through a series of classes, and those classes are conducted by the Recruiting and Retention NCO to prepare them. Pretty much our whole stage and the way everything lines up throughout your career is preparing you for the next step to be successful. We don't just throw you in and hope that you figure it out. We prepare you through mentorship and development throughout the whole course of time that you're with us. So obviously that's how we're going to get the best out of you, is preparing you through that. So that's called our recruit sustainment program. From there, they're going to go to basic training, which is a 10-week long program, which they're going to learn all the basic soldiery skills that they need to know to be successful in the U.S. Army or National Guard. And then from there, they're all going to then go to advanced training. And this is just locks in their job training. Whatever they chose to do in the National Guard, we're going to train them at a high level for that. So our training, whether you're going to be a basic rifleman or you're going to be come out there as an EMT or paralegal or whatever, we're going to train you very extensively for that. So you have a full understanding once you hit ground with your unit on how to do your job.
Yeah, I had a question.
Yes.
Not to throw you off track. If I'm in the RSP, let's say I'm a senior in high school, I joined the National Guard, and now you're saying I have to come to a drill weekend. What if I have homecoming? Or what if I have prom? Or what if I have a football game? What happens?
So we do not interfere with any school activities. We still want you to get that experience. I mean, once you graduate high school, you can never get that back, right? So we're never going to interfere with any of your high school activities. So we have people that split train, what we call split train. They come in at a different time in order to get that training, or work with their individual recruiters in order to get their time in and get their pay. And so
They also get paid on those weekends,
they
right?
get paid on those weekends, right, sir? So
So you're talking about AIT. Sorry,
Oh,
I just
sorry.
wanted to, I wanted to
Yep,
hit
so-
that while we're.
So AIT obviously locks in that job specialty. One of the great things about our organization now is the advancement in our training over the last probably 15 years. All of that stuff converts over into some form of college credit or civilian certification. So you can, if you're interested in being a nurse, you can go to what we call healthcare specialist. You come out as a certified EMT. So you have your EMTI, EMTB, all that type stuff. It transfers over to at least no less than a semester of college credit. But you could walk right in, get your civilian certification as an EMT and go to work. So that's kind of the initial process. And then from there, once you're done with your advanced training, you leave the recruit sustainment program, come back to the National Guard, and you're going to then start drilling with your unit for the remainder of time that you're in the National Guard, where they're taking your skills and they're continuing to grow those skills and give you experience in that field.
So with the recruiters, you know, one thing you talked about is real life experience, right? So you talked about our 68 Whiskey, our medic who comes out with an EMT. I also know that we have it's called 88 Micah Transporter. They drive trucks. And so when they're done with their basic training and advanced individual training, they can come back and they can be qualified and have a CDL right out of training. The other thing I know is if you don't want to go to college and you want to be a heavy equipment operator, we have scrapers, graders, bulldozers, all that stuff. We send you to school and you drive those. You're licensed on those. And I know hundreds of employers across the state of Iowa, because we work with them all the time, that would love to hire you day one for probably $50,000 a year. James or Zach, can you think of any other jobs that have real life training that right when you come out of Army training, you can get a job in the civilian world?
Sergeant Johnson, you want to go ahead and hit that one?
Yeah, I was just gonna say the one is the medical equipment repair. They can come out making more than $75,000, $80,000 right off the bat. So every job is going to correlate with the civilian world. Whether I'm an artilleryman, I shoot a big cannon, but I'm in charge on those weekends. I'm in charge of 10 or 11 other gentlemen on that weapon system. So it's a nice way you can gear anything that you do towards that side. But that medical one, that's my newest one, but I won't steal any more thunder from Sergeant Brooks there.
Well, you know, you don't have to just take our word for it. You can come to a patching ceremony, something that we host every single month for the new warriors that come home. They just graduated from their job training and now they're full-fledged members of the Iowa National Guard. We had 77 local employers from the central Iowa area, amazing people represented, John Deere and you know, different law enforcement agencies, different trades-related programs, anything you can think of, any industry you want to work in, Amazon, you name it. They were all there actively looking for the talent that the National Guard produces with the young men and women that come through our training. They want to hire them on the spot. They don't care if it's part-time so they can go through college at the same time. They don't care if it's full-time. Whatever opportunity that individual is looking for, they will bend over backwards to accommodate. We had 77 employers for like 100-something soldiers. And so that's testament to the relationships that the National Guard has in our communities, but also the program, the training that these individuals go through, where they're so competitive, they're so hireable. When they get home, everyone wants them.
Good. And the other one I thought about is it's like our linguists, right? That's hard to get into, but we send people to school for a year to learn Mandarin or Farsi or some other languages. And they come home straight out of high school to basic training, to advanced training, to a year of language education in California. And then they have this other language they can speak, and the Army paid them to do that. So the other, Brooks talking about those employers is, I talk to employers all the time. And the three things they tell me is, we want people who can work together as a team. We want to make sure that they're drug-free, and we want to make sure that they're willing to show up on time. Well, those are qualities that we all live by in the Iowa National Guard. And so they know that they can come to our job fair, 77 different employers, and show up. And everyone that's wearing this uniform, they probably have those three things in spades that they can provide to that employer, and which is why they show up and try to hire them every patching ceremony. So, and then James brought up another good point of, I'm an infantry guy. I shoot guns and jump out of airplanes and do crazy stuff like that. And for a while I thought, what skills am I getting? Am I really learning anything? I can't fix any medical devices. I don't speak another language. I don't do any of this stuff. But what I learned after probably 10 years, I have a lot of leadership skills, right? I've been in charge of people my whole life. And just, every year it seems like it's more and more and more, and I'm responsible for more and more stuff. And so someday when I decide I don't want to wear this uniform anymore, I know that I'll be marketable because I've had tons of leadership experience in combat and here that you can't replicate anywhere in the civilian market. And so I'm sure that, even though I don't have a trade, for example, I definitely have some skills that I picked up over my years of service. So anybody else got anything on that topic?
I was just going to add with the jobs, sir, like the jobs, when you choose that with the National Guard, you get to pick it. And we'll go over all the different options that you qualify for because of that pre-test and stuff. So you make that decision. As long as you qualify for it, it's yours. And we'll go through all that stuff. Like, this is where you're going to be doing your drill weekend. This is what a drill weekend is going to look like. And you get that drill note or drill letter a year in advance. So I know we'll kind of get into some of that, but so and your employer knows also when you're going to be taken off. And last misconception that I'm at UNI, so I get a lot of college students that think they have to be going to school for what job they choose. And it has no correlation. So what you go to college for, or what you do in the civilian world and what you do for the National Guard, there's no correlation. So a lot of times there's people that will pick something completely different for the drill weekends, because if you're a civilian police officer, maybe you want to do something different on that weekend instead of being a military policeman for us. So there's those clear open options for you as well.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that too. We could do a 2-hour podcast on all the great different jobs that and with names of people who have gone through those jobs and how it's enhanced their business. But I'm lucky enough to where I recruited for 10 years, and then I'm kind of the old guy in the organization now. So I've seen all those people that I have recruited into these professional careers. So, to where people I've recruited have come in as basic infantry guys and they're lawyers, and the Guard helped pay that way for them to hit that. I've had lawyers, doctors, PAs, nurses, dentists, mayors, like all sorts of opportunities it opens up for all those people. And I'm glad you hit on that, because you don't have to, line the National Guard up, your career with us versus something else. The great thing is having a backup plan, I guess, is what I like to say a lot of times. If, say, you don't end up, becoming a nurse, you can still, use a job skill. You have a job skill somewhere else that you can go out and explore. So, but yeah, I mean, we're touching just a couple of those jobs that enhance or that transfer over. But I would say it's probably, I'm guessing here, I don't have the facts with me, but I'm saying it's probably about 90% of our jobs transfer over into civilian certification or college credits. But the greatest thing, and James talked this earlier too, about building your resume. And that's one thing I talk a lot to our young Joes about, is building your resume. So this is one thing that the National Guard does. It gives you a security clearance that is a $50,000 security clearance, high-level security clearance. So an employer knows what you're getting when you have a National Guard soldier walk into your office. and also saves them money to where they don't have to do that security clearance on you. It also, it's building your resume, giving you experience in life, which we all know a bunch of 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds who are going to college full-time or straight out of high school. They don't have a whole lot of experience. So we help build that resume so that you are the top, 5 resumes that employer gets to see versus the other 25 that they throw in the garbage. So it's a great way, and we are very passionate. We understand that it's not just you being successful in the National Guard, it's you being successful in the civilian sector too, because that makes a better soldier and keeps you a little bit longer. Okay, so we want you successful in both areas, and that's why we do things like have a patching ceremony where 77 employers come down and their high level employment in all different fields. All right, so we want our people to not just do a good job for us, but be great citizens, great Iowans, and have a very successful civilian career too.
So one thing I want to hit that Sergeant Johnson has a lot of good points somehow. I don't know if you know him. That's funny. But the best thing about the Iowa National Guard is we can take the right person and find the right job for them and put them in the right unit where they want to be. Nobody else can really offer that. And so the recruiter is going to learn about you and really know who you are and how you are. And just like any business, just like Casey's is different than Quickstar, is different than Phillips 66. They're all a little bit different. They all operate a little bit differently. Fairway and Hy-Vee, they're different cultures, different climates, different businesses. Each organization in the Iowa National Guard is a little bit different. And so we can take the right person and make sure that we have the right job fit for you, and then we can put you in the right unit. And Sergeant Brooks and I just dealt with this. We had a young man who thought, hey, this is what I want to do. And so he took that job and he went to training. And Brooks knew that he would want something more. He wanted to do something a little bit more fun, a little bit more adventurous. And that soldier came back and said, hey, you're right. I want to do more. I want to do this other job. The good thing about us is I can sign the waiver, and we're sending that soldier to another training so he can do the job that he really wants to do, that he didn't know until he was really in it. But you're not pegged into one little hole. And once you're here, you have to stay there. There's the flexibility to maneuver to put you where you want to be at. We knew he wouldn't be happy doing that. So we're not going to make that soldier do that. I signed the piece of paper. We sent him to new training, and now he's going to get in the right organization for him. That's going to be the best fit for him and for the Iowa National Guard in the long run. And the last point I have is Brooks, I'd really like you to talk. We talked timeline, but what if I'm a junior and I want to join? There's a thing called a split op. So can you walk us through how that would work?
Yeah, absolutely correct, sir. So if you're a junior in high school and at least 17 years old, then you're able to take advantage of something known as being a split op or a split training. And so one of the cool advantages of the National Guard, one of the things that's unique to our organization is you are able to join our team. You lock in the job that you want to do. We can find the unit that would be best for you anywhere in the state of Iowa. Once we get all that stuff locked in, you're a member of our team, your contract starts immediately. You're immediately a member of the Iowa National Guard. And then you have the opportunity to go to basic training, which is a 10-week-long training program. That's where you learn the fundamentals of being a soldier. And so you do that over your junior through senior summer. So the summer between your junior and your senior year, you're able to capitalize on that training. You make a couple $1,000s. You get in the best shape of your life. You make a bunch of new lifelong friends. You come back to the state of Iowa your senior year, disciplined, motivated, and with a little bit of money in your checking account, a little bit of pocket change. And now you're ready to do the next, your senior year, you're going to crush it. You're going to get paid every single month for those RSP weekends, what First Sergeant Wagner hit on. You show up 1 weekend a month, you get paid $200-something. You enhance your skills as a soldier, and then you finish up your high school program, you graduate, and after graduating, you're then able to focus on doing your job training. So whatever skill set you decided you wanted to become, if you wanted to be a medic or a mechanic, or a technician of any sort, you then do your training for that job skill after you graduate high school. And that's an amazing opportunity to become a citizen soldier as early as possible, to start your military contract as soon as possible. And then there's a lot of really great things that come with that. I don't want to get in the weeds here, but if you're 17 years old and any of this sounds even remotely interesting to you, or you're a teacher or a guidance counselor that has a motivated 17-year-old individual, this could be an amazing opportunity for them to get a jump start on their path.
And so, like First Sergeant Wagner talked earlier, your time starts ticking the day you join the Iowa National Guard. So if you join when you're 17, your promotions go by time sometimes. So that clock is ticking for your promotion time. That clock is ticking for your time in service time. And so if you join when you're 17 and you sign up for 4 years, hey, you're done by the time you graduate college. I mean, your obligation is over. So I just wanted to reinforce that. I think we're good on that piece. So the next thing we want to move on to is really the heavy hitter here, Lieutenant Donahoe, and the education benefits that the Iowa National Guard has to offer.
Thanks, sir. Before I get started, I was checking the chat, and there was a request to expound a little bit more on the Asvab, and how you could potentially prep for it, and how that placement works after you've taken an Asvab. If there's a subject matter expert at the table, they're looking for more information on that.
Hey, Brooks, you've worked on some of those, haven't you?
Absolutely, sir. Although I think Sergeant Johnson's the guy for this because I had to field the phone call real quick. I apologize.
Absolutely, I can definitely cover the Asvab. So the Asvab is about a 2.5 hour test. It's broken up into 12 sections. So the big 4 is the paragraph comprehensive, the vocab, and then you have 2 sections of math. So when we get a score, it doesn't mean that you got 50% correct. It means that you did better than 50% of the people that have taken the test back to 1997. So it takes a little bit of time, but then the other 8 tests are for what job you might be looking into. So you're going to have mechanicals, you're going to have to put shapes together, you're going to have to do clerical, you're going to have science in there, and then a couple more off the top of my head that I can't remember. But it's just going to correlate just like the ACT. So you can type in ASVAB, ASVAB, and they'll give you plenty of pre-tests and study materials and stuff like that. But you can do ACT because the ACT is going to be out there a lot more for the study guides. Just use the same thing to study for those. We have people that can kind of help with facilitate some of those pre-tests and help you on some of those weak points. And then there's we can have you take the test at home or in our office, so you're not in a different location or a new location, because we get a lot of kids have test anxiety and things like that. So, and if we don't get to that certain score that we need, we'll study for 30 days and then you can retake the test. So there's a limit of how many times you can take it, but we'll help you through the process. And yeah, it's about 2.5 hours in those 12 tests. So if there's any specifics to anything I didn't cover, let me know.
So I talked really fast, but James really glossed over that. So number 1 is reading comprehension, right? You're gonna have to read paragraphs and turn that into something. And so he said there's 4 main blocks. So those are the ones I wanna just slow down on. So reading comprehension is 1, and then number 2 is vocabulary. That is really like just matching.
This word is this.
Most clearly represents.
Right.
Multiple choice. So X word is most close to these 4 choices, and then you pick that choice. And now the third part.
So then you're going to have math where it's more algebra equations. So order of operations is going to be on their fractions, percentages. And then you're going to have a test of more word problems. So, Johnny had 4 apples and Julie ate 3. How many apples do you have left? So there's those 2. So they say anybody with a 9th grade math education should be able to pass these pretty well. But we all know math is not everybody's key. And sometimes that's a difference in, Midwest to West Coast to East Coast. So.
And math, lost it. Oh, no. Can you use a calculator?
You cannot use, yeah. So that's a big thing. Thank you, sir. You cannot use a calculator. You have a piece of paper and a pencil, and that's what you get to use. So I know that's heartbreaking for some people where they're like, and now with the new math and stuff like that, it takes more time, and all of this is timed. So it takes, you got to work through it. And some of them, if you don't get it, you just got to take that best guess, or a lot of them are going to be the negatives and positives, and you should be able to look at the question and be able to go, okay, I know it's not this one for sure, or I know it's not these 2. So then at least you're down to a 50-50. So. And
so just like medical, don't disqualify yourself, right? You can come talk to a recruiter. They have a shortened test version that's not 2.5 hours. They have some that are as short as 15 minutes, if I'm correct. Is that right, Brooks?
That is correct, sir. 15 minutes or less.
Yep. And so they can get a quick readout on what you're at, and they can say, hey, you probably need to work on this a little bit more. You can go back and work on that. We can't tutor you or really help you with that, but we can give you some resources. Or like Johnson said, you can go out and Google and find some study materials, just like the ACTs or SATs. And hey, your reading comprehension is not great. Go work on this. And then we'll come back and pre-test you, and then we'll take the test. And so don't disqualify yourself. Come and see where you're at, and then go from there. Thanks for checking the chat, Brandon. Were there any other questions or anything we want to stop on before we get into the benefits?
I did not see any other questions. I can check it before we end the call for sure.
Okay.
But that
Go ahead with the benefits, and we'll definitely offer up questions.
Absolutely. So the big topic of discussion here, college benefits, right? You're going to be transitioning from high school and looking to further your education. Depending on what data market you look at, we're fully aware of how important this is because we'll just say the majority, somewhere between 60 and 70% of people join the National Guard and pick the National Guard specifically because of our ability to help you with your educational goals. And I know when you talk to your recruiter, they'll be able to further detail of how we are the best, probably the best option if, with the least interruption in your life in order to meet those goals on some sort of timeline that is probably palatable to you. There is, as in most things, a lot of detail and nuance that I could go into, but I really want to talk about the big three benefits that you can expect to have access to by coming out of high school and joining the National Guard as one of your first steps out of high school. I'm going to do them in a specific order, then I'm going to come back around and kind of describe how they come together and you use them in conjunction with each other to meet your educational goals. The first one that you've probably heard talked about before is called the Montgomery Gi Bill. There's a few different flavors of it, but let's just say the version that you'll be access to as a new recruit out of high school is something they call 1606. What that means is this type of GI Bill is going to be usable by you as long as you are a member of the National Guard. When you join, it's something that you can contract into if you join with a 6-year contract. So there's a couple different contract options depending on policy at the time. But if you're interested in using GI Bill, you're going to want to talk to your recruiter about that 6-year contract or a 6x2, and they'll fill you on the details of that. So that 6-year obligation is a requirement. Being a graduate of high school is a requirement, and then completing your job training. And of course, you'll be a graduate of high school before we send you your job training. So these basic things just sort of take care of themselves as you work through your path to become a trained soldier in your job skill. The current rate for this year as a full-time student is you will receive $397 per month as a full-time enrollment student. That is increasing, I believe it's to $407 starting October 1st, the new fiscal year. This benefit, then the reason I put it up front is this benefit is different from the next two I'll talk about because this is money into your pocket. It is an educational benefit for sure, but it is strictly dollars going to your bank account. The Montgomery GI Bill is designed to help transitioning soldiers from, it used to be from military to civilian life, but this program was designed for citizen soldiers that are doing both simultaneously. And so your requirement is to be in school and be enrolled at a certain level and be getting good grades and attending class and just being in good standing through school. So there's kind of an acknowledgement that you'll be using it either for educational expenses or for expenses that are facilitating your successful educational goals. So there's a lot more detail on that. It is a VA program. It's easy to find more details about it if you just hit Google or Bing or whatever your preference is, and just type in GI Bill. It'll probably take you to a va.gov website, and that is your key source for information. The next thing I want to talk about is called federal tuition assistance. This is a benefit that has similar eligibility criteria for you. But by and large, once you come back from AIT and you're job qualified and you remain in good standing, that means you're going to come back in shape. You keep yourself in shape. You keep in terms of your physical fitness testing. You keep yourself in shape in terms of keeping trim and lean and having a good appearance for the military. And this benefit will be available to you for your undergraduate goals minimally. And again, there's more details, and I don't want to bog down in those. But this is the first of the two benefits that is a payment that will go directly to your school. So this will help reduce your bill at the school. So it is something that will never be invoiced to you because it is covered by the government for you. Current rates are, it'll pay out $250 per semester hour, up to 16 semester hours per fiscal year. And the fiscal year is generally October 1st to September 30th. So just think like a rolling, that 1 year period, up to 16 semester hours. I don't want to confuse it because it's not a dollar amount cap, but that comes out to about $4,000 a year off your college tuition. And that's something that we do a lot of work here in my office to help reduce obstacles, to make sure soldiers are getting signed up, and to help the schools do their part as well to make sure that you're able to enroll in classes smoothly and without issue. So that's, again, just a straight benefit. It's paid from the Army directly to the school, so your bill is just reduced directly in that way. The third thing I want to talk about is what's known as the Iowa National Guard Service Scholarship. That translates roughly into state tuition assistance. But we treat it like a service or a scholarship, and it's called INGSS, or the Iowa National Guard Service Scholarship. This is a fantastic program, highly successful. And the more I learned about it, the more I'm excited about it. It's something we do in conjunction with the Office of Iowa College Aid. But this is something that'll take over if you use it in conjunction with federal tuition assistance and really accelerate your ability to meet your education goals quickly. You have two basic requirements. After, again, you keep those same eligibility requirements for the first two. In good standing, keep it in shape, stay in lean fighting form. And you do you can do one application a year. So there's a July 1 deadline or a December 1 deadline. You're probably going to be doing your FAFSA anyway. That's one of the requirements. And there's a second application called the Iowa Financial Aid application. You do those two things, and this is another tuition assistance it works in conjunction between the Office of Iowa College Aid and the school directly, where it's just going to be a tuition payment directly to your school. This is based on an average of the Iowa Regents rates of what a semester term or per year would again, on average cost at the major schools in Iowa. So the upcoming academic year balance, or the amounts rather, per term, you could use up to, again, it only covers up to this, or match the bill of your tuition, whichever is lower. So you'll at minimum, you'll be looking to get your tuition paid, but it could go up to $4,829 per term, and that equals out to $9,659 per year. This is designed for your fall semester and your spring semester, so there's not really a summer term benefit with this particular one. But when you use all three of these in conjunction, this is how it is used successfully by a lot of soldiers in the Iowa Guard. So they'll finish their AIT training and they'll look to enroll in school. They'll register their federal TA account, their federal tuition assistance account. It's called Army Ignited, and they'll start with that benefit. So they'll be leveraging their federal tuition assistance against their tuition. They'll also have done the requirements to apply for the Iowa National Guard Service Scholarship. So the Iowa National Guard Service Scholarship will come in behind, and up to that dollar amount cap that I talked about, will pay the remainder of the tuition, hopefully. Now, when I say hopefully, it's because some of you out there will pick one of our great Iowa private schools in the state of Iowa, and they can be a little bit more expensive. So it'll just continue to pay towards that bill, or reduce your bill. And then they use that third benefit either as an option, or you can bank it for later educational goals. But if they use that Montgomery Gi Bill in conjunction with the two types of federal tuition assistance, that with your tuition completely paid becomes money in your pocket on a monthly basis. And all you have to do is your monthly check-ins. So the three of those things used in conjunction with each other is, it's kind of a knockout punch, and it becomes a really good deal for a lot of new soldiers. And of course, like I said, there's nuance and detail. And that's part of my office's job, is when you get back, we give you a big detailed briefing on it. And we also have an open helpline to help reduce those obstacles and make sure these benefits are there for you, that you've earned, and you use them successfully towards your educational goals. That's what I got, sir.
And
yes,
I think
sir.
I heard you say this, but let's just say I'm graduating from high school, I have like a $2,000 scholarship from here, $1,000 scholarship from here, another $500 from here. I don't need any help from the Iowa National Guard or the Iowa National Guard Service Scholarship, because they're already going to pay this. So those are paying into now I register for college. I'm in my freshman year. I have that, those scholarships get paid. So you said, I think, if I am also a member of the Iowa National Guard, they'll automatically pay that money in, and whatever's left will come back to me. Is that right?
Well, the tuition assistance are, by design, they'll pay towards tuition directly. But the GI Bill is always available. That's money cash to your account. So, and you don't have additional, it's not based on balance. So that'll be money in your pocket directly from the VA, and that benefit is available while you're a member of the Iowa Army National Guard.
Okay, so I think, sir, what you're saying is if your tuition is paid for through scholarships, and then you're a member of the Iowa Guard, we're still going to pay you what your tuition is at that school. We're not going to hold that back just because you already have your school paid for. So what's going to happen then is at the end of each term or semester is the university is going to cut you back a check or whatever is overpaid to that university. So last I was tracking, the university can't carry a positive U balance. So they have to cut that back. So essentially, we don't want you to stop getting scholarships just because you have the National Guard benefits. We want you to still go out there and get those, because now you're just enhancing your life, whether you can save it up, buy a house, we hope, retirement, something like that. We don't just spend it on a bunch of stuff, but that's a difference of a student having to work and go to school, or a student being able to focus on their education. And so a point that I wanted to make, and this is kind of not about the benefits, but I think it is a benefit. So I work quite a bit with the colleges, and I'll just use one as, maybe I won't name the college, but I'm going to talk about a college. A student at this certain college has a 28% retention rate. And that is just after 1 year, only 28% of those people come back. And so I asked, what's that retention rate with veterans? And they said it's a 77 to an 80% retention rate. And the number one reason, financial freedom. They do not have to worry about how they are paying for college. They don't have to worry about loans, and they can actually focus on education and pass all their classes instead of having to work or whatever in order to start paying that U bill. So that is one of the greatest benefits, in my opinion, is our education benefits, but it's also there and shows statistically that our people are more likely to get a degree plan in what they want versus someone else that's trying to figure this out through loans.
So from my quick math, from what Lieutenant Donahoe said, is $8,429 per semester, right? Per 6 months you could get from benefits. If I cut everything in half, or kind of do the Montgomery GI Bill, but all those, about $8,400 per semester if you're running a semester. That's quite a bit of money, like First Sergeant Wagner said, to spread that out. And I personally, I have done this, right? I had the full GI Bill from active duty, but then the National Guard paid that scholarship for me to finish my undergrad so I could become an officer. And then I used federal tuition assistance to get my MBA, in my spare time, completely debt-free. And so I have personally reaped these benefits and used the benefits of the Iowa National Guard. So I know firsthand, and my wife still has some student loans that she pays. And I just kind of laugh at her because I don't have any, and I have a master's degree. Thank you, Iowa National Guard.
We all have experiences with that. So Sergeant Johnson works here at UNI with the ROTC program, and I used to work here at UNI with the ROTC program. My average student put about $1,200 a month in their pocket while they're getting 100% of their school paid for. So that's kind of, again, I can't say enough, like that means they don't have to focus on a full-time job or a part-time job. They can go get them if they want, if they can maintain it all, but they have that financial freedom so they can achieve that end result of why they're going to college, and that's getting proper employment. So
we could probably go for a couple hours on that as well. But we are right at 10:55. So if I don't see many on the line, if there are any questions or anybody has any questions, we'll just kind of stand by, willing to answer any questions you might have.
Well, I just want to thank you for your participation on the panel, and I want to thank you for your service. I think this was a really informative session in terms of the benefits that are available and kind of what distinguishes the National Guard from other military forces if young people are thinking about the military in general. And just, I learned a little about the history of the National Guard today too. So thank you so much. I do have some housekeeping items here. Just as a reminder, Back on Track sessions are happening all week. So check out the link, which will be placed in the chat to register for other sessions that might be of interest. And we want to thank our partners that can make this event possible. There will also be a link up in the chat recognizing those partners. Access to the recording, again, will be provided next week to school counselors. And then lastly, this Sunday, the Golden Circle College and Career Fair is happening from 1 to 3 p.m. in Altoona. If anyone listening to the recording is interested in learning more or attending, the link to that will also be in the chat. This is a great way to network with admissions counselors and employers. So again, thank you so much to our panel. This was a great session, and we really appreciate your time today. Everyone have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you.